Hey, Red Lipstick Club, welcome back to Red Lipstick Reality TV. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button. If you're coming back, you guys, welcome back. We're ready. Are you guys ready? Did you watch the episode last night? This is Sister Wives. It's season 18. It is episode 6. The episode is titled The Understatement of the Year. To say that is probably the most perfect title is an understatement. Because I was yelling at the TV about 60% of this episode. And I have a few thoughts, so I thought I'd share them with you guys. Everybody loved this segment section, so I'm going to keep doing that. Because I think it kind of helps me to, like I said, stay organized and be able to cover different things. But this episode took me through it. So before I get started, put some lips down in the comments, put some glasses down in the comments. Let us know that you're here. Thanks for coming back. Here we go. Second one, you guys, I called Valentine's Day in Utah monopolized by Mykelti and Tony. Basically because they monopolize every conversation. And frankly, I would have honestly rather have heard from Aspen or Mitch because we rarely get to hear from them. And I'm just kind of curious, actually, what they have to say about the whole thing. Especially Mitch, because he comes from a polygamous background. I'm in a polygamous family himself. So I would have been interested to hear how Mitch was feeling about everything. But I thought this was a cute little idea. And actually, I'm kind of loving some of these fun and sweet clips because it's kind of breaking up all the depression and sadness and anger that's happening in Sister Wives. And there was a time period where this show was not that. It was actually more joy and happiness and more about the kids. And I love that part about the show as well. So I liked having this little paint and sip night. And it's a great time to kind of sit down and have a conversation with each other. And so at this point, Tony, I will say this about Tony. Tony seems like a very engaged dad. And when you have like 3 kids, you know, a toddler, twins, you know, that's one thing Mykelti did right by. She picked a guy that seemed to be really excited and happy and motivated to be a dad. So as much as he kind of gets on my nerves and she gets on my nerves, I think these two found each other and she found a man that clearly wants to be a dad and not just a part-time dad. So I like that about Tony. I just wanted to kind of shout out that positive about him, and looks like everybody else also recognizes that he seems to be a very present father. And I think when I point that out, what stands out to me is why he seems to have Cody's back so much, recognizing that Cody is probably the least engaged father of all time right now, completely tapped out, not doing his job. You would think that Tony of all people would be really calling Cody out or have a lot of issues with Cody. And he tends to have his back and all from what I've seen. So it's weird to me that he wouldn't be more disturbed by the fact that he's dropping the ball with all his kids. I think if he were dropping the ball with Mykelti and if he wasn't like kind of showing Mykelti this preferential treatment compared to her other older siblings, he would feel differently. But because Mykelti's not impacted negatively, he just kind of looks over it. So Valentine's Day and polygamy, I always thought this was interesting too, because obviously it's one day a year. It's a year where you're spending time with your partner. It sounds like they would do more family things. It doesn't seem like they necessarily got along as women enough to do like one quadruple date, or like to set up like, I'm wondering if they ever set up like a nice dinner with just the parents at home. I think just the element of not being able to have any type of affection or romance in front of your sister wife really stops you from being able to celebrate love like this in a big way. And I know you guys know the name of the family. Tell me, you guys in the comments, who was the family that came to visit? They had 3 wives as well. 2 of the wives were sisters, which I still think is okay. But anywho, that's neither here nor there. But they were able to hug and like, you know, kiss at their partner in public. And they have, instead of them being engulfed with the jealousy of it, their focus was, why would I not want to see him being affectionate and taking care of that marriage? And he was like the dad that was like really organized. You guys know when they went on a trip. But he seemed to have... he just seemed to have a more ideal situation, and I think it's because he treated his wives fairly. And that to me is an example of actually seeing fairness happen even in like romantic settings, when you're seeing him do the same thing to every single person in a romantic way, I thought that was kind of interesting. So I could see how Valentine's Day would be a total bummer. I'm so excited for Christine's new life where she actually gets to experience Valentine's Day in a real way with having a partner that loves and appreciates and supports her. I think that's amazing. Oh, I love too how Robin act like life is so tough around Valentine's Day. Girl, you've had him to yourself now for how many years? Like, you've been having Valentine's Day. There's no way Kody has not been doing Valentine's Day with Robin while he hasn't been with his other wives. I guarantee it. So stop. I'm sure he made a COVID excuse these last few years why he would conveniently be at Robin's house for Valentine's Day instead of the other wives' house. But I would love someone to find some receipts for that. This is Mykelti being odd again, talking about what would her mom like keep a paint and sip night painting that she did with her dad, which she put it up on the wall. And Mykelti, she's I'm trying to find a happy medium with her, because I think there's moments where she seems really sweet and amazing and great. Seems like a very happy, loving mom. And then there's other moments where I'm like, you are so attention seeking, and it's driving me crazy. It's really driving me crazy. I will say this positive about her when she says, she's talking about her mom, and her mom is talking about just all the insecurities she's had being in that relationship with Kody, knowing you're with a man that is not attracted to you. I could not imagine being in a marriage with a man that has basically told me, like, let's say you're 15 years in, like Christine is, and you find out 15 years in that this man has been running around the whole time saying he wasn't attracted to you. Like, you laid down and had 6 kids with me. You're attracted enough to do that. But you're running around saying you're not attracted to me for the last 15 years. Like, could you imagine? And then you get out of that relationship and now you're trying to go into the dating world for the first time, and that's the only man you've ever been with. So the only man you've ever been with wasn't attracted to you. That, I could not imagine the mind F-U-C-K-ery, okay, that is happening for Christine dealing with that. Like, I could not imagine, y'all. So I did like that Mykelti was like, I don't get it, why he wasn't attracted to you. You're so beautiful and gorgeous. I love that Mykelti was validating her mom like that. And because honestly, we all have seen it, especially the glow up Christine has had. I almost feel like that's why that Kody's mad more, is because Christine had a total glow up when she left him. And now he's looking at her like, what? Now you don't want me? No, I don't, actually. And I'm sure I can find someone that is extremely attractive that thinks I'm amazing. And I didn't have to have a glow up for them. They just would love me for me. But yeah, I think she just has such a glow up, and I'm just glad that Mykelti called it out for her mom and just validated her mom and what she looks like. So we'll see, you guys, how this matchmaker is going to work for her. I don't know. I'm wondering, do you guys think that this is a good idea? I personally think it's a good idea, because I feel like if you're dealing with a professional matchmaker, the people that go through them have to be vetted first. And if you're a public figure like this, millions of people around the world know who Christine is. And there could be a lot of opportunists that come with that when you're trying to date. And it's not like she's like an A-list celebrity where you're meeting a whole bunch of people on your same level, as far as, public persona and having a brand to uphold. So it would be really smart to go through a matchmaker to make sure the people that she's going to interact with, and the men she's going to meet, have been vetted first. And it seems like so far, even with like David, like people were really trying to dig up dirt on this man. And guess what? The only thing they found was that the guy had a great family. He was married. He lost his wife. And he's a business owner, and seems to be a very successful one. So whatever Christine did, if she met David through the matchmaker online service, whatever the case may be, it seems like it was a great idea. So anyway, that was a great segment. Oh, ick factor, Tony and this whole ice cream thing, and then Mykelti feeling as though she needed to go 15 layers deep about all the ice cream that Tony was having. Y'all, I'm not trying to be shady, but Tony's okay. I mean, what was the ice cream? Like, low fat, non-dairy. I mean, what kind of ice cream was it really, y'all? And did we really need that conversation? I don't know. That was so weird to me. And he's crass for no reason. And I don't know where that comes from or why he feels the need to do that in every situation. Especially, this is a national television show. It was incredibly unnecessary. But once again, both of them like to monopolize conversations and they need to be the center of attention. Both of them. So you can only imagine what it's like. What it's like in that home, having two people that are seeking out attention. Wondering how their kids are going to deal with that down the line. So, great segment. Moving on. Segment 2 now. Oh, this is where I said, segment 2, I called it Mary Can Make Friends and Be Likable. Mary was actually very likable in this segment. And I know we have our issues with Mary. And they're very understandable why we feel the way we do about Mary. But I think if they ended up ever doing a spinoff, I don't want just Christine and Janelle. I want Mary because honestly, Mary has personality. And the way she's been able to make jokes surrounding her absolutely depressing, dire situation in her marriage, I don't know many people that could find a positive spin the way Mary has. I really don't, y'all. And she's pretty hilarious. Like it's like, I think at this point, because he beat her down so bad, she really can kind of take some punches where she really couldn't take them before. And you know how she seemed to get defensive over everything. I almost feel like because she went through this situation with Cody where he basically treated her like mud on the bottom of a shoe, she can really take a hit now and a licking and keep on ticking. And I'm definitely more so liking this Mary than the crying, whining one all the time. This like ho-hum whatever one is a lot better. She feels a lot more realistic and honest with herself and her situation now. And I really like that about her now. But everyone always talks about her. Well, Cody talked about in an episode when they were in a therapy session that Mary has all these great relationships with everybody else, but she can't have them with her sister wives. And as we see that Cody has clearly sabotaged all the relationships within the sister wives, we see why Mary probably can make friends with everyone else and not make friends with people that he's pitting against each other. I mean, that seems pretty obvious. I think the only reason Janelle and Christine were able to make it is because Janelle can brush things under the carpet and because Janelle feels that she owes a bit of debt to Christine for loving and raising her children when she couldn't be present, which we'll get to later because Cody, you were on one. So I thought it was kind of hilarious how I thought it was hilarious how Janelle, because Janelle opened the segment up, right, saying she had an appointment with Cody. Do you guys think it's not hilarious to say you have an appointment to meet your husband? Like, not, okay, I'm just going to go talk with Cody. It was, so I have an appointment to meet my husband. When I tell you guys, if that isn't a sign that a woman is checked out, like, I don't care what she was trying to tell him in this meetup later, like, trying to give him hope and talk about therapy. Y'all, she's done. In that one moment, even if later she felt like she was going to give him a little bit of rope, in that moment when she said, this is an appointment, a man that I'm trying to be with is not an appointment. That is me having a conversation with them, meeting up with them, but appointment would not be a word I use. That level of professionalism when it comes to something that is emotionally packed as this is kind of interesting. So I feel like at this point, before she went there, she almost had her mind made up that she was done with him at this point, and she was not caring about him at all. I will say that Janelle seems kind of conflict adverse a little bit. Like, she kind of did that with her relationship with Mary, where she would just kind of brush things under the carpet, and then it would get to the point where it's almost like she's just avoiding you or giving you the silent treatment, which is worse than you telling me that you're mad at me. And I'm assuming she's done that same thing as well with Cody for so many years, and just kind of sweeping things under the carpet, and then getting to a point where maybe it just didn't bother her as much anymore. It still bothered her, but it wasn't at such a high level. And I think resentment starts to build. And I think that's with anybody. Resentment starts to build when you don't address things at the beginning. I know for me, like, my dad is one of those people, like, he won't tell you right away when something's bothering you, he'll kind of let it build up. And then all of a sudden the man's giving you the silent treatment and you don't know why he's mad. You don't know why he's giving you the silent treatment. And then when you ask him and he finally says something, he explodes, right? So then it's bringing up stuff that happened from like 10 years ago or something. And you're like, why didn't you say something then? You know? But I think people like that also expect for you to be mind readers, and they expect for you to know when you've maybe made them upset or did something that disappointed them or something that they felt was disrespectful, whatever the case may be. They just assume you know better and that you'll address it and that you'll fix it. And when you don't, they start to build up like a resentment because they think you're a mind reader. And I think Janelle's great, but I also think Janelle thinks that you should be a mind reader and just know what bothers her. And I find that people that call themselves simple and like, I don't need much, actually tend to be the most emotionally complicated people you'll ever deal with, because they actually don't tell you exactly what they need. Even if it's simple, they're not specific about what they need. That's so simple. They just assume you would know. And then you have to be a mind reader. So I'm wondering if that was, not to say that Cody has any excuse for anything, but I have to look at like relationship dynamics, and I'm hoping my channel is just a little bit different, you guys. Like I want to kind of look at just how these things impact our lives, right? Like how we can not just look at these people and judge these people, but how they can be reflected in what we've all dealt with or what we may deal with in the future. This is one of those instances where I think some people that say that they don't need much, they're simple, they end up actually being more difficult because they expect you to be a mind reader for the few simple things they need. And that could have been something in Cody's relationship for a long time that was a struggle for them. And I'd be kind of curious to know if him and Janelle struggled with that. So either way, this segment about Mary's mom, so the segment's moving on, and then they show that one of the guests that made this really cute pillow for Mary featuring her picture of her and her mom at the B&B. And I really loved this segment. And I'm glad that they finally did it, where it was just kind of a focus on Mary's mom, because she's been there since the first season. She always just seemed like so sweet. Remember, Cody said that her mom was his favorite, which you can see. Look how pleasant she is. Seems like everybody loved her. I still don't think I'll ever forgive Cody for how I feel like he just dropped the ball with Mary and neglected being emotionally present for Mary and even physically present for Mary when her mom passed. I just think if you've been with somebody for 30 years and you have a child with them and that person's still in your life, at least as a friend, which was what his relationship was with Mary when her mom passed, I'm sorry, but he should have been in the first thing smoking to help Mary get through that and to be kind of an emotional rock for her. And even you can even let Mary know, like, hey, I'm not saying we're together, but this was my mother-in-law too for 30 years. This is the grandmother of my children, and this is your mom, and she's always supported you and I. Let me be here for you through this. And he did not. And that just shows you how selfish and narcissistic that Cody is. There have been moments, I had an ex that lost a parent and he did not do right by me, but that had nothing to do with his dad. And I knew losing a parent was a big deal. And although I don't want to be with you, I can at least be somewhat of some support to you. If I loved you for a decent amount of time, unless you've just done me completely terribly, which Mary didn't feel that way in that moment, he should have stood up for Mary. That's just how I feel about that. This is a part where Mary starts talking a little bit about how she's going to have this conversation with Robin surrounding her moving the business to Utah. And I feel like this is just another situation where there's a potential for Robin to hold like this guilt umbrella over Mary's head when it comes to Mary wanting to do something for herself that makes her life better or easier, and using it as a ploy to say you're trying to separate from the family. And I'm sorry, but if there's anybody that could have packed up their bags and left a long time ago, it was Mary. She had no marriage, y'all. So half the kids she really didn't have a connection with on top of that. So the woman was trying. She's there, she's present. But at some point, give me a break, Robin. She did that with her when Mary wanted to go back to college. Instead of being supportive of Mary, she's like, oh, why are you running away from Sister Wives Closet? You don't want to be part of the family. I think those are just excuses for you to run away, you know, get an education and leave us. And I'm just like, I don't know why Robin's always trying to trap somebody into plural marriage. Like, if she wants to be there, let her choose that. Why are you trapping people through guilt? to stay in this. I thought it was a choice to be here. So why are you trying to guilt people to trap them to be there? I just thought that was very odd. So I'm like, Mary, let that go. Stop dictating your decision making around what Robin needs or is doing or how she's going to feel. Because I can guarantee you she's definitely not doing that about you, as we just witnessed with the Christmas scenario, which thanks y'all in the comment for telling me that McKelty asked Robin not to invite Mary. And I want to know why McKelty has so much pull and why she doesn't have to get called to the carpet and be in the confessional rooms and say exactly why this has happened. Because it shouldn't just be something floating in the air. If you have the balls to say you need to exclude a wife, a family member, and not even family member, when you as a child are saying, I want to exclude the wife, you should have to do just what Gabe and Garrison had to do when they're saying why they felt the way they felt about Robin. I'm sorry, but McKelty should have had to go into one of those confessionals and say why she's asking Robin not to invite Mary. And you know what? Since this family doesn't want to keep things honest, Robin should have told Mary, I'm sorry, your relationship with McKelty is the reason why you weren't over here. Let's start calling this stuff out on the carpet, because this is the problem, is you guys are, like, once again, brushing things under the carpet, not being honest, not being truthful about what's happening and what the dynamics are of the relationships. And that right there, McKelty, you don't get to throw rocks, boo-boo, and hide your hand. If you don't want Mary there, which that's fine, you can say that, but you need to stand on that and do it in a confessional room. To end on a positive note for this segment, Jen's story about how she met Mary and being like a murder for hire is working in pest control. That is such a hilarious pest control joke. And I've had family that have owned pest control businesses, and that is definitely a pest control humor to say something like that. I'm also really thankful that Mary has a friend like Jen that's a safe space for her to talk to, because Mary didn't really have anyone to talk to. She didn't have a safe space because Robin was not a safe space for her to talk to. She wasn't friends with Christine and Janelle. They were each other's spaces. She didn't have Cody. So when she was going through these things, I don't know, y'all. I'm thankful that Mary's still here with us and that she had that support through Jen, because going through all that stuff with the catfish and everything, not everybody comes out of those things okay. And especially when you have no support. So I'm really thankful to Jen for not blabbing all her friends' business and just being supportive of her. Those people are rare to find. She needs to hold on to Jen. That is a great friend. Moving on, y'all. Segment 3 is called Janelle and Cody Show Off. Or not show off, square off. But not really. And I'm going to tell you why I'm thinking not really, okay? I understand that Janelle has a different personality. And I understand that she's not fiery and explosive. And there were a few moments in here where I really thought she did what needed to be done. But unfortunately, her need to avoid a scene lets Cody off the hook. And it allows for him to kind of wiggle his way back into a scene. And I think it's because for years, Janelle just really hasn't known her worth. And so he can say some of the simplest of things and she like melts over that. And I'm like, girl, this is bare minimum that he's doing right now. But because you have a self-esteem that tells you that's all you need, this is the result of that. So I will say that Janelle seems to be kind of like walking in with a mission. Like she's like stoic, and Cody's trying to like joke his way around at the beginning. Like, oh, hey, want to give me a hug? Or hoy, hi. Nobody's laughing, Cody. And I will say this is, you are seeing a bit of a different Janelle. Because I think normally she probably would have hee-heed and ha-ha'd with him coming in. But you can tell this time, this is, no. That we're beyond the laughing and the kikiing around about this. We need to have a real talk. And I'm glad that she kind of, didn't let that start snowballing where he can dismiss this whole conversation from actually happening. So I did like that. Oh, he's so strange. Like when he calls out the cold water, I don't know if that's his reaction, if he's just awkward because he's nervous. Maybe that was just a nervous reaction to be like, oh, cold water. Ooh. It's just, I'm gonna give him that. Maybe he was just nervous and that was just like a nervous reaction for him. He didn't know what to say. So he's pointing out this cold water. But his whole obsession with water and lemons is so interesting to me. And you can also tell in this moment that Janelle really struggles with tough conversations and confrontation. I know a lot of people like this. I have empowered a lot of my friends and even family members to feel more comfortable with respectful confrontation, because I don't think you need to be disrespectful, but I do think you need to set boundaries for yourself by being okay with having healthy confrontation about situations, rather than, like we said, brushing it under the carpet. But she didn't walk out. She stayed there. She was ready to have this conversation with him. I will say you this, you guys, like, I'm going to have to go on a bit of a rant here, and I'm going to do some follow-up videos where I can just get more detailed and focused on certain things within this conversation. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to remember every single thing within this rant, but I have to rant because I need this to be as uncut as possible. And if I have to keep looking at my notes, if I have to keep looking at my notes, I will not do it and give it the justice that it deserves. I'm going to start with my first rant, my first moment, where I am clearly seeing a man that is one of the most manipulative, lying people I've ever witnessed. This is going to be out of order, y'all. I'm going to have to mix it all up because there's so much that went on in this conversation with Cody and Janelle. But this part for me was just absolutely glaring. And I said, this man is a liar. This man is a liar. They get into a conversation about the assets. Janelle talks about how her name is not anything. Nothing is in her name. The only thing that she has that's an asset, that considered an asset, is the land that they have not paid off yet. And it's a stressful situation for her because she's thinking to herself, I don't want to be with this man, or something's going on with me and this man. What am I going to do? I'm stuck now. I feel stuck. She actually verbalizes this to Cody. Then this man, they cut to the confessionals. He is lying out his teeth saying Janelle has the same amount of assets that everybody else has. What? What? Am I crazy, y'all? Am I crazy? Janelle's the only person with no name on a home. The only one. Janelle had a house. Robin had a house. Cody was on Robin's house. Not Janelle, sorry. Christine had a house. Robin had a house. Cody was on Robin's house. Mary had the B&B. So she has her name on a piece of property as well. Janelle's the only one that sold her home, gave her money so you could put your name and Robin's name on a house, gave her money so you could put your name on Christine's house, and left her hanging to dry. Let her invest in this dream you sold her of building on one property. And guess what? It was all a farce. And you know how we know it's a farce? Because you brought up that you and Robin had to have this home because you needed to house your little ones, your babies that are not babies, but that's neither here nor there. You needed to house them for 15 more years. Red Lipstick Club, tell me, why would you need a home for 15 years if your goal is to build on Coyote Pass? Wasn't all these decisions supposed to be made in a temporary circumstance? So that way you could quickly pay off your property, your land, and build so you can bring your families together again? So why would you need a home for 15 years if the goal was to pay off the property on time and start building on Coyote Pass? It's not financially possible for you to keep that home for that long and build. You'd have to sell it to have the money to build your home on Coyote Pass. So now he's exposed himself, because what we see is this man at some point was looking to tank the purchase of this land because he no longer wanted to be a polygamist, and he didn't want it anymore. And instead of him telling them and having to expose the fact that he no longer wanted this, he was finding a way to sabotage, to backslide on, to find a way that they all of a sudden wouldn't have the money to pay off this land, trying to prevent Janelle from building on a part of the land that she could start building on without them paying it off, right? He found excuses for that. All of a sudden, he went from trying to get the land ready for building and buying water tanks and everything. All of a sudden, all that activity stopped because he had no desire to be a polygamist, number one, and he was trying to tank the property to where they would lose it, and he would have he wouldn't need to make up an excuse for why he didn't want to live together. See, this is what happens, Cody, when you record your entire life for 12 plus years and you think you're smarter than everybody and that we can't go back and pull the receipts. The receipts were pulled. And you sat there in front of a camera and lied. You flat out lied. I'll tell you right now, y'all, if I was Janelle and I would have seen that, I would have been divorced is understatement. Not only would I have been done with you, but I would have hired an attorney and a forensic accountant immediately to take a look at what's happening here. And I would have sued Cody and Robin for assets. I would have sued them. Because I'll tell you right now, that whole scene right there, I had to get that out. I did not want to forget to say that, but I said, this man just flat out lied about everything. This is all a ruse. He's never had an intention to build on this property. Once they started fighting, I believe you guys, once they started fighting over the land and who was going to go where, I think he just got into here and said, I don't want it anymore. I'm done. I don't care. He wasn't getting along with Christine. He wasn't getting along with Mary. Him and Janelle he found that nice home with Robin. He liked the way it aesthetically looked. It made him feel rich and powerful. He's like, I have what I need. I don't need y'all. I don't need you guys. I'm done. I don't want to do it anymore. But he wasn't man enough to say it. He did this instead. I just had to have that rant, you guys. That moment right there. Then he piled on top of that and feels the need to bring up resources. Now, for him to think that of all people, Janelle is the person that only wanted him for resources just shows you how completely tone deaf and ignorant this man is. Over these past 17, 18 seasons, the only thing that Janelle has asked him to do is be a present father. To step up to the plate, to be a father to her children. That is all she's asked him. She has never once said, you know what, Cody, financially, you're really not bringing enough to the table. That has never been her. It's never been her. And you want to know why, Cody? Because she's just as much of a breadwinner as you. Why were her kids raised by somebody else? Because she was being a breadwinner. She was a husband too. She had no choice. She was a husband too. She was a breadwinner in her home. What are you talking about? This woman has had the same financial investment, if not more than you, into this family. So how dare you minimize this woman down to that? Then to talk about she only wants to be with you because you have pecs now and a six-pack. You guys already know how I feel about this man, and all of a sudden how his body is all of a sudden tightening up. I'm sorry, but if he was on some enhancements, it would explain a lot about his erratic, angry behavior, because you know how that works out. And that's kind of what's happening here to me. But when's the last time Janelle was talking about the attractiveness level of Cody? These women liked him when he was soft back in season 1. They thought he was sweet and attractive and handsome back then. What are you talking about? That has not, who are you talking about? That has never been Janelle. It has never been this woman. We have been watching her for years. Why are you trying to make up a new narrative about somebody? You're trying to tarnish who she is, just like you tried to do it to Christine. And for the love of God, do not talk about Christine anymore. I'm sorry, I'm getting loud, y'all. This is one of those moments where I was yelling at the TV. I said, if this man says Christine's name one more time, this relationship that you're dealing with right now, this woman that you're across from right now, this marriage is tanking. It's about to be over. This is the marriage you need to focus on. This is the marriage you need to try to save. Let it go. It's been months now. That woman has gone and left you. She does not want to be with you anymore. It is irrelevant to bring up what happened with Christine. Your relationships, like you said, are 4 separate marriages, treated as such. Just like Janelle said, separate the marriages like you have the entire time you've been in polygamy and focus in right here. I don't think he realizes how dismissive it feels as a woman for us to be talking about our relationship, and in the midst of talking about our relationship, you're bringing up an ex. I don't care. And I have had partners do that. And because I'm so chill and personality, it's like they think this is a space to do that in. And I don't care. I don't want to hear about them. I don't care about your ex. I don't. That's not going to help our situation. I don't want to hear about it. And I don't think he realizes these women don't have an ex to talk about to you. How would you feel? Well, actually, Janelle does. How would he feel if Janelle brought up her divorce to Mary's brother every single time they had a conversation about their relationship, her and Cody's relationship? How would Cody feel if every single time they were talking about what they needed to do, she would bring up her past situation and her past divorce? It would drive him crazy. It would drive him crazy. So stop it. Don't bring her up anymore. Stop talking about her. Oh my goodness. It's like, what is it called when you're like saying Bloody Mary in a mirror? Don't say it 3 times. Okay. Don't call the name out. Okay, y'all. That was so crazy to me. Yeah, just the continuous bad mouthing of Christine, him trying to make Christine this horrible person. Cody, just stop. And why are you still bringing up Christine talking to your kids about the divorce? Just stop. You can also tell too that he pillow talked with every wife. The wife that he was like trusting at that moment is the wife he was pillow talking to. Right now it's Robin, but clearly it seems at one point it was Janelle, where he was actually telling Janelle he wasn't attracted to Christine, that their relationship was having problems. Why would you tell one wife that you weren't attracted to another wife? He's not a good person. He is not a good person. And he was not built for this. He had no business being a polygamist. None. None at all. He is bad at this, y'all. The exposing is real. He is really bad at this. I don't know why you would think that was okay for you to do that. And when Janelle says, I would have left him at the beginning, you know what? I don't actually think you would have, Janelle. What's crazy to say, because as we're seeing, the moment that he started neglecting my kids, which I'm sure he's done this before, you should have left him then. So I think you would have left him. But the fact that you're still dealing with this man after what he's done tells me that I don't really know if you really would have left him. I think now, looking back on something, I don't think she'd ever let a man treat her this way. But I don't think you would have left him. Because you've left him before and you came back. So you leave, but you don't stay gone. So I don't know. I think maybe you would have left and came back, to be honest. You might have been mad a little bit, but he could have talked you back into it. Then we get to, I have to call this out as well. This is my last little ranty part. This man's excuses surrounding Savannah. You guys know how I feel about Savannah. She called him out for not calling Savannah, not seeing her, not making time for her. And this man says, well, I work a lot, so I'm only available in the evenings. And since we're not together, well, then that means I'd have to coordinate with her. I'd have to schedule with her. And he just says, he just can't do that. Sorry. I don't have it in me to coordinate or schedule anything with my child, to see her. Never mind all these families out here that are co-parenting every single day, that work during the day and have to figure out ways to spend time with their children, schedule with their children and their former partners. I mean, this is literally something that people do every single day. He sounds delusional. I don't know who he thinks he's talking to. He can't think that Janelle's that dumb, that dense, like that she would think, oh yeah, you make perfect sense, Cody. And then he brings up, well, Robin's kids, you know, it's because they're there and I'm present. And that's why they get to see me. No. You didn't take Aurora to get her ears pierced during the nighttime. That was a daytime event. Which means, guess what? You scheduled something with her because you saw value in spending time with her. And you didn't need a home to do that because she wasn't getting pierced at the house. So guess what? You clearly can figure out how to do that when you want to. So be a man and just say, I didn't really give a damn about Savannah and I didn't care about her because I was mad at you. And I was taking out my anger on you, on Savannah. And that is unacceptable to do that to my children. And I should probably hold myself accountable to that. That's what he could have said. But of course, he won't say that. He will not take that accountability. So that, another time, put me through the roof. I was like, oh my Lord, he's just... Janelle brings up, you should be a father to all and a husband to all. Well, he clearly isn't. And he brings up, I'm not respected by all. Well, ding, 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 Cody, that's exactly what it is. You're not respected by all. And there's a reason why you're not respected by all. And any man worth his salt, if he wasn't respected by children that clearly respected him at one point, would ask that question. Why do you no longer respect me? What's changed? What has changed to where you no longer respect me? And it doesn't necessarily mean that everything would be on Cody in that moment. I mean, some of the things could be on his son's getting older or changing of thought, politics, who knows? But at some point, they lost respect for you. And they're not the only ones. So what happened? What triggered that? And any dad that was really involved or really cared, instead of just saying they don't respect me, he'd be asking why. He'd be trying to figure out why. He'd be trying to figure out how he can fix it. But this is Cody, and he doesn't care. Moving on, Mary and this whole carriage house thing, actually, that was kind of funny. She kind of cracks me up. I think the best thing was when she was talking about putting things in a tote. She's like, what, just put everything in a tote? It was just, I don't know. To me, she seems like she's kind of quick-witted, and I kind of love that about her. And I'm loving seeing this. So yeah, if they were to spin off, I definitely want Mary in there just for like these quick witty moments. Because she actually seems a lot funnier than what they've made her out to be. And she seems kind of fun. I also do think another thing that I liked about this segment is that I feel like it showcases the entrepreneurial mind of Mary. And I don't think people really give her enough credit for how she's really built businesses, multiple streams of income, and even her looking at her B&B, you know, she might have first bought it under an emotional place where she didn't want that to leave her family, right? But that investment now makes sure that she'll always have a place to live, number one. It is bringing in some sort of an income, but she's looked at it as an opportunity to make more income, and she's willing to invest in it to say, hey, I see an opportunity here. I need a commercial kitchen though. I need these certain things, and I'll be able to make this a more profitable business. But because Cody is just so bitter about everything, and because it wasn't his great and bright and grand idea, he would never really look at Mary as a business person. It's like they never wanted to give her the credit. I'm like, she's not a dummy, y'all. She clearly has a brain. And she's been able to build lots of successful businesses. And I think, even though we all don't like the whole MLM thing, I think you can at least see somebody that's on the grind. And Mary seems to constantly be on the grind. And I think that'd be great to display on TV, is seeing these women like be total bosses on their own. I would love to see that. And I think Mary is a key part of that, because I think she's done that very successfully. At the end of the day, I think one of my biggest takeaways, you guys, from this episode is that ultimately Cody, he is the root of a lot of these problems. And I think at the end of the day, he has to be the rock and the roots of a family. And he is absolutely failed at that. And because he's failed at that, and because he was so focused on himself being the center of attention rather than being the anchor. It's like, you know, he's talking about I think it's, what is it, Apollo or whatever, where he's holding the globe on his back. He didn't want to be him. He wanted to be the sun shining down on the earth. You know what I'm saying? If you look at it, he didn't want to hold the earth up. He just wanted to shine down on it. And I think that's a perfect analogy for what we're dealing with here and why we're constantly feeling like we're banging our heads against a wall listening to this man. I'm so glad I got minimal to no Robin in this episode. Thank you, Lord. I also, too, side note, was really happy that Janelle called him out about him basically making Saul and Ariella victims again, just like, because you can tell, like everyone's been saying, he starts sounding like the wife he's been with the most, and you can tell that Robin has been telling him, oh, they don't care about Saul and Ari, they're not trying to help them have the same experience, blah, 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 they don't really appreciate or value them. You can tell that's coming from Robin, and he's just spitting it out. And when Janelle called him out and said, you need to be very careful about that, because you know what, I've never heard any of those kids say, man, we wish we didn't have them. In fact, they're saying, man, I really miss my siblings. I never get to see them. I don't like that they don't know who we are. Like, this is crazy. You don't see those kids mad about those siblings. So stop it. The victim, trying to play constant victim and trying to make her kids victims. They're not victims. The only thing they're victim to is you guys infantilizing them for the rest of their lives and you guys holding them up and separating them from the rest of the family. You've made them victims. They were not victims. Oh, Lord. You guys, I'm going to do a video on this plural monogamy situation. At the end of the day, this is how I know this man. Maybe he doesn't realize he was on television this whole time. But I'm pretty sure that Janelle was the only person that completely signed off on one home. So to come back around and say that she's the person that wanted plural monogamy doesn't really quite add up. And also, I'm sorry, at one point she was totally okay with doing a home with Robin. But once you've seen how this has worked out, how Robin has had an impact on her children, really recognizing the level of manipulation that Robin has, I don't want to be in a home with her too. And she's also seen financially how you guys can take advantage of her by pouring all of her resources and money into one home where she doesn't have anything in her name. Had you guys done right by Janelle and made sure that she was okay and that you paid that property off, she could have trusted you to be in one home. Now she doesn't trust y'all. And I wouldn't either. So no. If you want to call plural monogamy, well then so be it. But what we won't be is back in another house altogether. Sorry, no way. And honestly, I'm sure Christine's like, and I don't want these 30-year-old kids living with me for years and years and years because you guys don't want to let them grow up. Because the way it's running right now, you're literally treating 20-year-olds like they're 10. And they're not. They're adults. Cut it. Why did all the other kids get kicked out at 18, but Robin's kids get to hang out for forever? Not one of Christine's kids stayed with her past 18. And even with Janelle's kids, her kid was only staying with her, Garrison, while he was saving his money to buy a home. And Gabe was still in college. Other than that, he didn't even live that long. Even he ended up moving out. So I just find it interesting that there's different rules for these families than it is for Robin. It's just across the board. It's consistently different rules, and I'm tired of it. I just think he's so manipulative. Then at the end of this conversation, he says, well, you didn't think I missed you? After she had to tell him all these great things, now he throws in, well, you didn't think I missed you? You didn't think I wanted to give you a big kiss? What, Cody? He knew. He knows. He talks about this renaissance they had. Oh, great. You gave her a couple good years. You gave her a couple good years, Cody. It's exhausting, y'all. I just watching that conversation, I think I was getting a little upset with Janelle, but I understand because we all get a little weak when we've invested that much time into a person. We literally start thinking about the time invested and we make really bad decisions based off that. because the thought of having a number one start over and then also losing the investment of time, for a lot of us, investment of time outweighs a lot of things. We let people get away with a lot of stuff based off an investment of time that we've had. And I can really recognize in Janelle that she's let him get away with a lot because she's invested so much time into him. And it's unfortunate. I just feel like he puts words in people's mouths and makes up his own conclusions. And I peep your game. I got you, Cody. Next episode, apparently we're going to get into more details. Janelle's basically going to say she's ready to leave his ass. See you later. Mary's really starting to talk more about what her situation is going to be. I just want to know how real it's going to be with Mary. Like, how much we're really going to lay on the carpet. I'm just waiting for her to call out Robin and say, Robin, stop trying to keep me here for this man that doesn't want to be with me. It's manipulative. Stop. I really want her to say that. You are being manipulative, trying to keep me here when you know this man has no desire to be with me. Just cut it. But that was the episode, you guys. As you see, now you see why I had to take a break. I had to take a sleep because I was like, I don't want to miss these things. I want to be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed when I'm delivering it, and I want to make sure that I touch on things. But there are quite a few topics I'm going to be making some videos about over the week because there was so much happening, and a lot of these things to me need just some extra detail and a closer look at. So I'm excited to definitely take a deeper dive. Also, hope after this season, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and jump into a Sister Wives rewatch. So many of you guys in the comments were like, girl, do the rewatch. We're trying to talk about it. Because I really want to start comparing like behaviors, things they're saying. Because I'm thinking if I start a rewatch now, by the time season 19 starts, because we already know there's going to be a season 19, I can pretty much guarantee, I just do not think they're not going to have a season 19, y'all. So if before they do a season 19, I want to make sure that we're starting to watch these episodes and then just start taking our notes and keeping our receipts for when we start having some more calls. So we'll see. You guys, this has been a blast. Thank you so much for joining me. If you have not hit that like button, you guys, please hit the like button. It really helps out with the algorithm. It has more people join us. We can get more people with their thoughts and their ideas in the comments because the comments have been lit. You guys always kill the comments. It's so much fun talking with you in there. I'm going to keep responding back to you in those comments until it gets to the point where I absolutely just cannot do it every single time. But I'm going to keep going as long as I can because I love being able to talk with you. And we need to figure out a live time. I'm going to have to put up a poll, see what you guys think about a time where we can go live this week because I'm in town. I don't have to worry about going out of town, which is fantastic. So I want to jump on a live with you, have a cocktail or two, talk about this show, talk about what we're anticipating is going to come up next. I think that'll be fun. Either way it goes, thank you guys for joining me. Hit the like, hit subscribe, share it with your friends. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I'm all there. The link's below in the About section. Until next time, bye.